Welcome back to All Cars Y'all. I am John. It is time for another Motorweek Retro Review reaction. This week it is the 1992 Honda Prelude SI four-wheel steering. I'm pretty excited about this one. I was between a couple and I had to do the Prelude. I love this Prelude, and so I'm pretty excited to get into this one. So without further ado, grab your beverage of choice, sit back in your comfy chair, and since I'm recording this in winter, put a coat on, and let's take a look at the Prelude from '92.
Motorweek is made possible by Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper and TireRack.com.
If you're a car watcher, you've probably noticed that many new models look very much alike. Flush glass, rounded edges, and a minimum of tacked-on extras are becoming the styling standard. And while this trend has led to some remarkably faceless designs, it's what makes the '92 Honda Prelude SI so stunning. Rarely has a design from this normally conservative company differed so radically from its predecessor. And styling is just the beginning. Changes throughout the car have produced a whole new Prelude. But new and different do not necessarily mean better, or do they?
And before they jump in, I love this car. I love the styling of it. The earlier Preludes, maybe they were fun, but they always left me kind of, I don't think they're very attractive. And the later ones with more like square headlights, they don't really do it for me, even if they were technically better. This one, I just love the look of it. You know, if it was between this and a Mitsubishi, right? I don't know. I really like the old Mitsubishis, but I love this Prelude. I love how it looks. A very Honda styling. If you think about the Acura Legend or even the Civics with the low hood and the more wedgy shape, this is very much from that style. The thing I've never noticed before until this is how much the front end of this, just the beginning of the hood forward, right? How much it looks like an Eagle. Like, I mean, the brand, Eagle, like Eagle Talon or their bigger one, right? Both came out about the same time, so I don't think it's copying it. I don't think Eagle copied them. It's just interesting how I think both of them developed similarly. But let's see what they say.
There's no doubt the fourth-generation Honda Prelude looks different. Different enough from other Japanese designs coming out of the Jelly Bean jar to receive many thumbs up from onlookers during our road test. Perhaps because styling cues favor up-level Acura coupes rather than other current Honda offerings. The long, low hood blends to a body-colored front bumper with a definite center wedge to create an aggressive stance as well as good aerodynamics and better driver visibility. The headlights are wide, narrow, and flush-mounted. The nearly flush side glass blends into the fast roof line, and the dramatic theme of the Prelude coupe is carried through to a stubby high rear deck lid with spoiler that reminds many of an inflated Jaguar XJS.
I don't know that I would agree with that, but I do think it's a handsome rear end. I like that it's high, so you actually end up with usable trunk space. And I think Honda did a really, really good job there of proportionally sizing the taillights. Now, of course, I'm not an auto stylist, and many of you have mentioned that before, but it always bothers me that sometimes stylists seem to get to the rear and be like, we don't know what to do with the taillights. I was behind something the other day, and they were triangular, but they were too small. They were kind of dainty, and then sometimes you see they're almost grotesque. I thought this was perfectly proportioned overall. That's just a good-looking car, but there's not a lot of visual interest, and very much in style of the 90s, a very simple crease down the side and just kind of rounded there at that C-pillar. But it ends up being handsome. There's a little bit, just a little bit of, at the very front end again, of Lexus in the kind of the headlights and say the hood where the front wheels are forward, just a few touches of some of the same design language that Lexus used on their coupes. Good looking car.
Available in 2 trim levels, S and our test SI, the new Prelude is wider, lower, and rides on a platform that is slightly shorter. The Prelude S shares its 2.2-liter single-cam engine with the Accord. The only engine in the SI is a 2.3-liter twin-cam 16-valve power plant that replaces last year's 2-liter. Compared to last year's SI, horsepower is up 14% to 160, and torque 16% to 156 pound-feet. While our test SI performed well with the optional electronically controlled 4-speed automatic transmission, this nearly 3,000-pound coupe should please any driving enthusiast when equipped with the standard 5-speed manual.
So, interesting. The base engine, and then the upgraded one with the dual cams, and it still just made 160 horsepower. That, without having a spreadsheet in front of me of what competitors made at the same time, that just doesn't sound like a lot. But then they filter it through an automatic, which I don't particularly have a problem with. But it seems out of character for the SI. Okay, I think that to me, if you think about the base engine with an automatic, because I'm really just using it as a commuter car, I'm driving it to my office job, I like the style, that makes more sense. But if you're spending extra money for the more powerful engine, I'm surprised they provided an automatic to test and not the 5-speed. It just doesn't sound quite like how I think most of the buyers who are spending the extra money, how they would option it.
Even power delivery, crisp shifts, and good use of gear ratios produced fine results of 7.8 seconds 0 to 60 and 16.3 seconds with a final speed of 87 miles per hour for the quarter mile. Despite its weight, the Prelude SI handles with precision and stability thanks to a refined double wishbone suspension at all 4 wheels, increased suspension travel, gas shocks, and thick front and rear stabilizer bars. Aggressive cornering with any front-wheel drive car can be a challenge. Our car's 4-wheel steering system markedly improves sure-footedness. The new electronic system replaces the last Prelude's mechanical version. As before, the system aids in both handling and in parking. On the open road, Prelude...
Results were okay. 0 to 60, I expected more, but one of the things I vaguely remember from reviews of this car was its heft. It wasn't really at the Lotus approach to add lightness. And with 160 horsepower, and didn't the Mitsubishi Eclipse Turbo, didn't it make like 190, something like that? I don't remember. I have to look it back up. Overall, that performance is sporty, but not quite as wow as I honestly expected. And even through the slalom, while they were going on about the 4-wheel steering, a lot more body roll than I expected. I'm hoping that pays off here with a compliant ride at speed. Not bad at all, don't get me wrong. And if it is a little softer and a little more comfortable and a little more usable every single day, that's much more of what I would have been interested in than something just hardcore. So overall, just a little surprising.
Prelude occupants enjoyed a smooth, comfortable ride. Balance shafts in the engine help keep the cabin free from extraneous mechanical noise. We registered 68 decibels at 60 miles per hour. But when needed, the SI's 160 horses easily take charge for near effortless passing. Stopping the Prelude SI is just as enjoyable as pushing it. Equipped with what is probably Honda's best ever anti-lock brake system, the car maintains a straight and stable path with good feedback through the pedal. 112 feet was our average stopping distance from 60 miles per hour. The interior
That's really good. That's pretty impressive, actually. Nice to say it's got Honda's best ABS system, but that's good results. And that decibel reading, not bad. Not, oh my gosh, it's amazing, but for what's a sporty car, this is coming across more like a like a Grand Tourer, honestly.
Is no less aggressive with its wraparound cockpit-like design. While we acknowledge Honda's efforts to do something distinctive, the uncluttered door-to-door theme ends up more gimmicky than practical. Functionality has not been totally cast aside, though. Digital gauges in the center of the dash do remain in the driver's peripheral vision. We would like the whole affair a lot more if all the gauges were analog. Airbags for driver and passenger are standard on the SI with the four-wheel steering package. The front bucket seats are deep and comfortable, with good thigh support, and there's plenty of leg room. The steering wheel tilts, but travel is short and not really worth the effort. True to the cockpit nature of the SI, most controls reside within close reach of the driver. Heat and air conditioning buttons are easy to use, as well as the large, well-marked buttons on the standard cassette AM/FM stereo. Sound quality is excellent. Almost all convenience features are standard on the SI, including the easy-to-operate, snug-fitting sunroof. Rear seating is hardly fit for humans of any size. Better to just open the small trunk pass-through and carry something long. With a nearly 90-degree swing of the trunk lid and low liftover, the trunk itself forgoes additional criticism.
Okay, before they move on, we've got to talk about that. So, I like to think of, hey, I'm going to the mountains for a 3-day weekend. Let's take the Prelude. That trunk's perfectly wonderful. You could stick bags and purses and makeup bags back there, everything else. I think that's wonderful use of space, and it's nice to have sports cars who actually have some space. Don't care about the criticism for the back seat. Just not the focus. Then there's the front. And I told you before, guys, I don't watch these in advance. I watch them live with you. And while I remember a lot of these cars, I do tend to forget sometimes finer points, like how much I dislike the interior of this Prelude. And maybe that's why I look back fondly on the Prelude, but I never lusted for it at the time. And I think part of it is the interior. I mean, I don't know what to say and where to go with this. First off, it's dark, it's drab, it's dreary. And then on top of it, they put in a dashboard from, like, what, a 1983 Oldsmobile. All it needed was that big, long, sweeping speedometer. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Now, from the vents down, typical Honda, good controls, makes a lot of sense. They even said ergonomically it works okay. But the top part of the dash, hate it. And what's interesting is that since it has, analog gauges, but some digital component, and it goes all the way, isn't it interesting to look back? And as much as I do think more 83 Oldsmobile, it's the same kind of thing we're doing now with our cars with the big digital screens. I'd have to go back and look, but the new Nautilus kind of gives me these same vibes in the dashboard now. Just interesting little tidbit, but I don't like the interior. I really don't. From vents up, I strongly dislike this interior. Vents down, I got no problems with it.
Fuel estimates are 22 city and 26 highway. Our mixed driving loop went one better with an average 27 miles per gallon. The base price for the Prelude is $17,000. The SI with automatic transmission starts at $20,000. Add another $2,320 for four-wheel steering, and you arrive at our as-tested price of $22,320. That's several $1,000s more than major competitors. In our safety check, the Prelude SI passes with driver and passenger side airbags, anti-lock brakes, and rear shoulder belts. Attractive styling, sports car handling, and a powerful engine make it difficult not to like the Honda Prelude SI. Also hitting us just right was the stellar performance of the brakes and the comfortable front seats. Our only major complaints are the gimmicky gauges, tilt wheel travel, and the Prelude SI's somewhat hefty price. The fourth-generation Prelude is not unlike the accomplished college athlete who has just graduated to the pros. The 1992 Honda Prelude SI four-wheel steer is a standout. Those willing to pay the admission price will be driving a winner.
Very, very interesting. I guess my thought for y'all is I expected to be more wowed. I have such a high opinion of this car and its kind of place in history, and I expected this to be an absolute gem. And although they closed very strongly, it left me kind of I leave this review wishing they had done some of the here's the competitor's strengths and weaknesses, because looking at this, if I watched this on TV, I would be like, well, what are the other ones like? You know, is their trunk as good? Do they get the same gas mileage? Are they less expensive? Do they make more power? I feel I want more. Not from the video itself, but from the car. More power, more performance, better handling, better ride, quieter, better dash. All right. And I guess that's kind of how it went with the Prelude at the time, because this was on the market, when I was getting out of college. I remember driving them, but I don't remember loving them back then. So the one thing I wanted to say about this, kind of in conclusion, is this is somewhat around the heyday of Japanese manufacturers. We've talked about it on the channel before under different topics, but in the 80s, money was freely available in Japan, and that's when Honda came out with Acura and Toyota started developing Lexus, and it's about this time that the LS from Lexus was coming out. Nissan started Infiniti, and Mazda was trying to get Amante launched. And then the Japanese credit crunch happened, and all that money dried up. And there were still some fantastic cars coming out because they were already underdeveloped before the crunch. But there was also a lot of cool technologies that Japanese manufacturers had been developing. They had so much money and were so successful, they could come up with anything they wanted to and then go try it on the market. And one of them was four-wheel steering. Multiple manufacturers used it. I know Honda, I remember them having it on this. It's a super pricey option. And, was it worth it for the price was the question. Only if you're looking for that incremental improvement at the upper end. And then they all kind of went away. Everybody settled back down to, we get some interesting stuff like the variable compression on Nissan engines and things like that. But in the late 80s and the beginning of the 90s, it was this wild west of Japanese coming up with new technologies and trying it out. And four-wheel steering, and then it just kind of went away again. And so this is a really nice little reminder of when the Japanese had swagger. And I do like the car looking back. Love to drive one again. See if I remember it more fondly now. But overall, good car. I would absolutely trust it. But dang, I'd like to know what some of the options were. And if I was in the market at the moment, I think I'd want to try some other things too, just to see. Let me know what you think below, guys. Thanks for being here.